My fellow Americans, our movement is far from over. In fact, our fight has only just begun. We are one movement, one people, one family, and one glorious nation under God. So with American pride swelling in our hearts and American courage stirring in our souls, I say these words to you tonight. We will make America great again.
Gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? It's time for the final countdown. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, let's rock.
About now, my mic should be working. Let's see. Yeah, my mic should be working, guys. Sorry about that. Always something. Always something when it comes to Thursday night shows. Anyway, mic is on right now. Thank you for joining me on Thursday night, guys. A lot of things has happened this week, as we all know. We'll be talking about it throughout the show, actually. But before we actually get to the show and all the stuff that I have to share, obviously we want to see who's out there in Freedom Land. You know, the freedom fighters, the common sensors, the purebloods, the once upon a time purebloods, our patriot family. Obviously, we can't start the show without our patriot family and see who was out there watching for tonight. Let's do the shout outs and then we let's get the show on the road. I think that's the wording. All right, so the first shout out's going out to Judy Horn from Kentucky, our American Patriot family member. How you doing, Irene, Mr. Gilles, Scott, Bennett, Miss Monique, Camaro Chevy Girl, Miss Anna Gallant, Miss Therese Martin, Dugo, Yolanda, Denny, the Jet Cormier, brother from a different mother. How you doing, Kathy from Florenceville, New Brunswick, Mr. Mac, Brenda Pryor, Miss Yvette Tidio, Ron from the Peg area. It's snowing. He says it's snowing. Actually, there was some hail today. My brother, I really, yeah, I have my own feelings on how I really do feel about snow, especially now. How you doing? I think the older we get, the more we hate snow. But I'm getting to the point now. How you doing, Joan? Also, Marcel Robbie Show, Miss Wanda, Denise, Vincent, brother from a different mother, Miss Sylvia from the island, Mr. Dan Marsh, Miss Donna, Miss Karen, Tamara, Janelle, Juanita, and what's this? Let's see, Andrea from Penfield, Miss Tamara. Did you see that flights are getting canceled? Yeah, they're getting canceled because there's no control officers, traffic control, whatever, those people that control all the planes, air traffic controllers. I mean, the government's been shut down for over a month, right? That's what the Democrats wanted, which I'll show you even a comment that one of them said that we don't care if planes fall out of the sky. Wait till you see that one. They have blocked the gates to go in. If you leave, you can't get back. I don't know what that means. Miss Eagles, how you doing, Ron? Who else? Miss Kathy, no sound. Now we have sound. Now we have. How you doing, Vanessa Walsh? Chris Duguay, Muriel, Mr. Dan Sear, and Carlene Gonzalez. All right, guys. Oh, my kitty cat. Look at that. So first things first, a lot of things have happened. Obviously, they elected the most, one of the most idiotic, most ridiculous thing you could ever elect besides a Democrat in the United States. We already know what Michigan turned out. We already know what the governors are, Democrat governors. Now they have a Muslim mayor that literally has a policy to defund the police, which is pretty much the only thing I kind of like about him. But he's the first Muslim mayor, not even born in the United States. And I'm going to tell you how that's even possible. There was a bill that came out in 1990, and I'll ask you who you think was the president of the United States in 1990 to bring out this bill, because it doesn't make no sense. It doesn't make any sense at all how anyone that wasn't born in the country should be into any politics to begin with. Never mind mayor of one of the largest cities in the world. Make that make sense. I got a few things. Make that make sense. So anyway. We'll just leave it to there. So speaking of this is on New York Post today with this Mandani says the white neighborhoods should pay higher property taxes. The price is white. That's right. That was on the New York Post, guys. And guess what? They still voted him in. Now, don't get me wrong here. Okay, don't get me wrong. Number one is I still believe that, New Yorkers had two people to pick from. I don't know who the third guy is. Apparently he was an army guy, but you had this Muslim piece of shit. And then you had the other biggest piece of shit with the Cuomo, that's going out now apologizing to people that it was his fault that grandparents died. But at the end of the day, you don't pick the Muslim piece of shit. So when you actually have Donald Trump literally coming out and saying that Zoran, who would pick a name Zoran in the first place? Mandani wins the election for mayor. If he does, it is highly unlikely that I will be contributing federal funds other than the very minimum as required to my beloved first home because of that fact that as a communist, this once great city has zero chance of success or even survival. It can only get worse with the communists at the helm. And I don't want to send, as president, good money after bad. It is my obligation to run the nation, and it is my strong conviction that New York City will be a complete and total economic and social disaster should Mandani win. His principles have been tested for over 1,000 years, and never once have they been successful. I would much rather see a Democrat who has a record of success win than a communist with no experience and a record of complete and total failure. He was nothing as an assemblyman ranked at the bottom of the class. So yeah, when you got Donald Trump, for the people that say Donald Trump is a bad person and Donald Trump is the Antichrist, he's the devil like Tyler the Flat Earther. Listen, if he was the Antichrist, don't you think he would be propping up Mandani, right? So don't you think he'd be propping him up and saying, I hope he does a good job? No, he's been saying it for months now. If New York ever does the mistake of picking him, they are done. And I guarantee Trump is going to make sure it's done economically, financially. It's going to be like that movie with Kurt Russell, something in New York, back in New York or something back in the 80s. I think something Bronx into New York or something. Remember that for the boomers and myself that watched a Kurt Russell show? Well, it's pretty much going to be like that, to be honest with you. And common sense question, all right, just to let you know, does this make any sense? 24 years after 9/11, the New York City want a Muslim to be a mayor. And, for the people that don't know, obviously, because it was an inside job. We all know it was an inside job what the government did to that. So, yeah, it was an inside job. But for the people that don't know, they still think that Osama bin Laden, blew up the World Trade Center, and number 7 just dropped for the hell of it, building 7. But they would still pick a Muslim that killed over, well, they're saying over 3,000 people, but the real number is 6,000, just to let you know. So make that make sense, because you know what? It doesn't make any sense, but I really don't care for the city of New York. It's not a city I really cared for in the first place, but it's going to be very interesting to watch it burn. It really is. What I see is going to happen is you're going to see, all right, my prediction, you're going to see a lot of companies moving out. You're going to see the NASDAQ market literally crash. So like it's going to crash so bad, the stock market, that's going to be a whole different distraction. Then they're going to blame Trump. You understand? So we're going to be putting up with this crap for the next who knows much, like who knows what. So that's exactly what's going to happen for the next distraction. And then we're going to have a bunch of woke people moving to New York thinking that this Muslim is going to protect them. Then you're going to have the very bad people, that the terrorists are going to be heading to New York, just like they've been doing to Michigan. See how they're doing it? Remember how I told you how they're doing it in Canada? They take over, they do towns by towns, then cities by cities, and then province by province. Well, they've already taken over Michigan. It actually looks like little Mumbai, to be honest with you. And now they're going after New York, Chicago. Then they're going to work into California, probably Seattle. That's if Trump doesn't put a stop to it. And I know he will. I'm just saying that's the plan. I know Trump will put a stop to it. But before we go down, let's because we're still on the United States, let's go with this. So, of course, we all know, if we don't know, this fake Nancy Pelosi announced her retirement from Congress, even though she's the fake Nancy Pelosi. The real one was executed back in 2020, 2021. I can't remember. I think she went through trial, then executed. Either way, she is no longer with us. And then just to let you know, this was a post from Charlie Kirk when he said Madani is a Muslim socialist. If he wins, you'll see what socialism is all about. And this is from General Mike Flynn, from the grave. May he rest in peace. And Charlie said it. That's right, because Charlie knew. Well, we all know when you use the word communism, if anybody thinks for a second that communism can work, it's you people that need to be depopulated. All right. Literally need to be depopulated. So this is the bill I was talking about that they put out in 1990. So the question I ask you guys, who was the president of the United States in 1990? All right. Who was the president of the United States in 1990? Before I show you this bill, and then it would all make sense to you guys. Anybody? I actually enjoyed hearing that demon Dick Cheney croak. Yeah, even though the real one was croaked a long time, completely gone. But the fake one, the fake one is completely finished. What's this? I can't get your show. Elizabeth says I can't get your show. Well, you must be able to get my show. You're on it now. They've been messing around with my show for the longest time. I still got people that say they can't get it. Let's see here. Anybody? Clinton? Bush? Can anybody give me the answer? It's Bush, guys. Bush Sr. Or someone saying Reagan. It's supposed to be Bush Sr. in 1990 is what I'm, it went to Bush Sr. It went from Reagan to Bush Sr., then to Clinton, if I'm not mistaken. So anyway, this is the bill. Check this out. Why Muslims can now run for office. On November 18th, 1990, the 101st Congress quietly, how they said the word quietly, repealed the MC Karen Warner Act of 1952, forbidding Muslims from holding office. Members of that Congress were Dick Cheney, John McCain, Joe Biden, Al Gore, John Kerry, Mitch McConnell, Chuck Schumer, and Nancy Pelosi. Let this sink in, guys. Every single one of those pieces of donkey shit are the people responsible of what has been happening in the last 30 years, those dinosaurs. And they got paid well. But, and so it begins, like Donald Trump says. The phrase "so it begins" is famously used in the movie The Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers, by the character King Theoden, just before the Battle of Helm's Deep. The phrase can be used to signify the start of a major or significant event. That's right. And so it begins. And this is, guys, Drain the Swamp comes in different forms. That's all I got to say. Different forms. I'm happy it's coming out. I'm excited it's coming out. But we are going to feel the pinch, right? We really are going to feel the pinch on both borders. Look what happened in Canada politics, which I'm going to get to in a second. But trust me, let's stick to the United States for a minute. All right. So, like I said, for Donald Trump and Mark, Skid Mark, Carney, there's no deal going to ever be done. Japan just told Canada that they were too busy to arrange a meeting with Carney because they were too busy with Donald Trump. So if you guys think that the Carney is this big global guy, you guys are losing your mind. Stop watching that fake news. That should be I like to use other words, what it should be done, but it literally needs to be shut down. CTV, CBC, you guys, everybody needs to be shutting those places down. Let's see what's this. So yeah, remember this, guys? We just won the war on the climate change hoax. That's right. Bill Gates has finally admitted that he was completely wrong on the issue. It took courage to do so. And for that, we are also grateful. So yeah, what's Carney going to do now? But you know what, guys? You're not going to see this on the fake news, but the fake Bill Gates, because the real Bill Gates has been gone since 2012, has come out and finally said, all right, that there's no such thing as climate change, which we all knew, right? We all knew this. All right. Let's call a spade, but we all knew this. Let's watch a video before we go any further. Let's do this video for the deal. Actually, let's stick to the United States first before we get into this pathetic country we call Canada, this incorporation. Check this out, what happened to the White House today.
Years, my company, Eli Lilly, has been investing in America. We've been advancing science and creating high-value jobs. But today, oh, are you okay? Gordon, you okay? Yeah. Okay. Let's take a break. Yeah.
Yeah, can anybody say another blood clot? I wonder why, right? I wonder why. And if you watched, I know you guys didn't see, especially in that one, but if you've seen RFK, he literally left the room. Like, he knew what was going on. And of course, he's not dumb. He knew exactly what happened. Obviously, this person went and took the jab. So RFK is definitely not going to be around, to take the questions for that. Because obviously, you got to remember, you can't tell the American people that they went and took the death jab, because the chaos would erupt. It'd be civil unrest, right? So he walked out of the room. And speaking about RFK, check this out, the announcement he made today.
That no human being should suffer from exposure to mercury. You came together to protect future generations from this potent neurotoxin, and I'm looking forward to continued progress. Article 4 of the convention calls on parties to cut mercury use by phasing out listed mercury-added products. But in 2010, as the treaty took shape, negotiators made a major exception. Thimerosal-containing vaccines were carved out of the regulation. The same treaty that began to phase out mercury in lamps and cosmetics chose to leave it in products injected into babies, pregnant women, and the most vulnerable among us. We have to ask why. Why do we hold a double standard for mercury? Why do we call it dangerous in batteries, in over-the-counter medications and makeup, but acceptable in vaccines and dental fillings? Thimerosal is a mercury-based preservative that has never undergone proper safety testing in humans. Hundreds of peer-reviewed studies identify it as a potent neurotoxin, a mutagen, a carcinogen, and an endocrine disruptor. Thymerasol's own label requires it to be treated as hazardous material and warns against ingestion. There is not a single study that proves it's safe. That's why in July of this year, the United States closed the final chapter on the use of thimerosal as a vaccine preservative, something that should have happened.
Something that should have never have happened, RFK. You know it. I know it. Everyone else knows it. Even now, they're coming out with the tetanus shots that it was completely phony. Well, yeah, the real. I mean, I'll give you stats if you guys want stats for the tetanus shots. You know how many people died in North America from tetanus in the last decade or two? I think it's 20 years. 13 people, guys. 13 people. That's right, 13 people. And they were all older people. All right, just to let you know. In the last 20 years, 13. Why are we getting tetanus shot again? All right, just to let you know. There's no such thing. But the new tetanus shots, I don't know when the new ones, new and improved, you don't want those tetanus shots because those tetanus shots are 3-in-1 now. And you do not want to know what the other two ingredients are in those tetanus shots, which one is the mRNA, aka COVID shot. So please, for the love of God, if you know anyone or for yourselves for the futures, and I think I've already said this before, please do not ever go and get a tetanus shot whatsoever. All right, please. I'm just telling you guys, it is what it is. And as for sticking to the United States, check this out. So the Democrats said that they won't open the government even if the planes fall from the sky. Then the UPS plane fell from the sky. What a coincidence. Sure, a lot of accidents on election day. That's right. They literally said that, and a UPS, 3 people had died from that plane crash, which we don't see. But it's just weird how the Democrats would come out and say that, and all of a sudden the same day, a plane crashes. Here's a very common sense question. All right, because we don't think of it, right? But it's a very common sense question. And I'm going to get this to you. I'm going to ask you guys first because I want a little integration with you guys. All right. Why, when you go to places throughout the world, all right, guys, when you go and you travel around the world, when you come back, they always check your bags, and they always ask you for stuff like, did you bring back fruits? Were you near a farm? Bring back meat, any kind of agriculture, right? Am I right? Because that is on the cards that they give you that you got to answer. And then if you do have food from different countries, right, they make you take the food, all right? Literally make you take out the food so they can decompose it or whatever they do with it. So the question I ask you guys, here's the common question, but am I right? Do you guys know that when you go to different countries and when you come back to your country, they ask you if you've been on a farm or if you got any food on you? Am I right? Do you guys recall this? Just to make sure that I'm not lying, I'd like to know. Because here's a simple question for everybody. Compost? I don't know what that means, compost. My auntie just got one tetanus shot because she was bitten by a dog and her hand swelled up. I feel bad for her now. Yeah, feel bad for her. I can guarantee it's a 3-in-1 shot. And they would have told her too, oh, by the way, it's a 3-in-1 shot. It would have been a huge lot of stuff in it, just to let you know. So Joan says, yeah. So the question I ask you guys, make sense. So if it's illegal to bring in a foreign plant into our country because it might upset the ecosystem, but bringing in 10 millions, well, okay, I guess, but bringing in millions of people from the third world is supposed to make it better. The irony. I mean, come on. Isn't that true? If you're bringing in a foreign plant that's dead, all right, or food or fruit or whatever, because they're saying it might upset the ecosystem, but they're bringing in millions of people from third world countries. Does that make any sense? Please let me know if that makes any sense. That's probably one of the most common sense questions you can ask a government, and I'd like to see what their face would look like when you ask them that question. So what do you guys think about that? I bet you never thought about that before, right? There's a lot of things we don't think of, right? We really don't think about stuff like this, like very basic questions that we, from all the fluoride they've been putting in our water. But it's completely true. The amount of, I guess there's a measles outbreak. Measles haven't been here in what, the 70s, 80s for sure. 70s? I had chicken pox back in the 70s. Whoops, I give my age away. But anyway, all of a sudden the measles, well, no, it's the people that are vaccinated. But obviously when you're bringing in third world people, you're bringing in third world diseases, if there's such thing as diseases now. All right, make that make sense, because I've already told you there's no such thing as a killer virus. There's only such thing as a man-made killer virus. So if there was such thing as killer viruses, then they wouldn't be allowing third world people coming into our countries. You understand? They check certain foods, especially meat and fruit and vegetables, due to hoof and mouth disease and due to plant diseases of quarantine significance diseases not known to occur in Canada. I'm a former employee. I don't know. Okay. And did that work? Well, okay. Well, Eldon, at the end of the day, that's what your program, right? But make it make sense with the illegals, with the millions of people coming in as a human being that carry diseases, viruses, bacteria. All right. So anyway, yeah, make that make sense. Did you see the guy with the machete in Moncton? Yeah, I seen the guy with the machete. I don't know what he is. I don't know if he's Filipino, Asian. He's not Pakistan, which was surprising. But yeah, he literally was carrying a machete and a gun, and he went and was harassing people, and literally also he did something to someone, like he hit him with a butt end of the gun, busted his eye open. So yeah, either way, it doesn't look good in New Brunswick. So now we're getting on to the New Brunswick thing, obviously. So this was in the sky the other day, guys. All right, just to let you know, all of New Brunswick, thousands of people saw this in the sky, not one or two, thousands and thousands and thousands. So they kept on sending me messages. What do you think it is? What do you think it is? Now, the bullshit thing that the scientists came out and said that it was a rocket that was sent from France and it's skipping around the orbit and all that crock of shit. No, and no. No. All right. Take a very good look at that. If you really take a look at that, me personally, there's a lot of weird stuff that's been happening, and weird stuff happened in the nighttime every night. All right. But for me, that looks like a portal. For the people that know, it looks like a portal, to be honest with you. It's something freaky. Obviously, there's no more conspiracies anymore, but thousands of people seen it. All right. And seen it in Michigan, not Michigan, but in Maine. So to me personally, I can honestly say that's maybe the aliens are finally coming down to grab all the liberal woke voters. Let's hope that they're down, literally coming to probe the liberal voters, the boomers. So, but in other words, to me, that personally looks like a portal. You got to remember, they opened up that CERN back in Switzerland a couple of years ago. So we'll just leave it to that. Here's a statistic for everyone. Check this out. Back in 2001, they did these are perfect stats. 2001 in Brampton was around 60% white, just to let you know, which is still even concerning that even in 2001 that Brampton was white, only 60%. I thought it would have been higher. But look at it now. In 2021, Brampton was only 18% white, and that's 4 years ago, guys. 4 years ago. I can guarantee you that 18% is down to 9% right now. If they were to do a survey, I can promise you that in 2025 in Brampton, you can guarantee it's down below 10%. Let that sink in of how many Pakistan people are here. Now, everybody knows we're going to get into Canada politics. And speaking about Canada politics, check this out, guys. Remember those two? I shared that the other day, right? Check that out. Yeah, it was a rocket. I wonder who that is. Remember I told you guys the other day, this gentleman on the left came out on a podcast and said that he dated Katy Perry, and he also dated Justin Trudeau. Well, that's him right there. Could that be one of their date nights? Yeah, because he's an EDM DJ. And if that's, that's definitely a good proof for you right there that these two weirdos were dating, right? Were they dating while he was a politician? Yes, because that's what this EDM guy said. He said, I didn't stick around with Trudeau because I don't like politicians. So yeah, and we have Justin Trudeau literally saying that, please, Jeff, don't call him a gentleman. Yeah, I'm not going to call him a gentleman. It's gentle people, or what did he call it? It's not mankind, it's humankind. So it's gentle human. That's how because we can't say mankind with him. It's humankind. So anyway, yeah, that's his one of his gay lover, and we all know about Macron and the rest of them. So yeah, there's your proof right there, guys. There's pictures with him, and we'll just leave it to that because at the end of the day, if you're a man that sits like this, you're definitely gay. So remember that time when Donald Trump had sex with an underage student? Then he had to leave his teaching job and get his student to sign an NDA, non-disclosure agreement, and then pay the family nearly $3 million in hush money to stay quiet. Neither do I. That wasn't Donald Trump, of course. That was Justin Trudeau. Yeah, remember that? And he's a liberal. How they ever kept that quiet, I don't know how. This is why these news channels need to be shut down. ASAP needed to be shut down a long time ago. And speaking about shut down for the liberal boomer voters, check this out. This is the budget, guys. When Trudeau first came in 2015, 2016, okay, the budget was $1 billion. Okay, then that was what Harper left, just to let you know. And guess what? Trudeau came in 2016, 2017. Look at that, 19 billion. 2017, 2018, 19 billion. And then this is where it must have balanced itself, because in 2018, 2019, it went 14 billion. So it dropped. You know why it dropped? Does anybody know why it dropped? Anybody? Take a good reason why it dropped. Can I tell you? Because there was an election coming up. You guys remember that? I was going to ask you guys if you know why. But guess what? As soon as he was reelected, look what happened then, guys. Look at that. 39.4 billion. Then here comes the election when he was sworn in. 327 billion. Then it went to 90 billion. Then it went to 35 billion, then 40 billion and 64 billion. And then now with Carney is up to $78 billion. I remember when the budget was less than $30 billion, or in the high 20s, 32 billion. And this was when the fudge packer was in, saying that it would balance itself. Well, did it balance itself there? Because now with this whole budget, it's unbelievable. Check this out. This is part of the budget. He unveils $660 million plan to help solve rights and support queer. So help to solve women's rights and support queer Canadians. Guys, remember what I told you about pride? We all know what pride stands for. It's one of the 7 deadly sins. This man is a demon. I don't care what anybody says. This man sold his soul. You do not become a billionaire and a multimillionaire unless you sell your soul. I don't care what anybody says. You don't think the Irvings didn't sell their soul? You don't think the Irvings did not sell their soul? All right. Yeah, they sold their soul. And that's why they've been spraying our forests with glyphosate and all those beautiful stuff. You don't think those people haven't sold their soul? They have. And it's actually, I don't have to do that. I got this now. Hold on. I've got this. Knowing that one of the Irvings has cancer. It's great. I love it. They all should have cancer. But yeah, they sold their soul. And make that, if that sounds too harsh for you, well, you definitely shouldn't be watching my lives. And speaking of harsh, check this out from Mario up north with the only deal that Mark Carney got so far.
Coconuts. That's what Mark Carney's working really hard for Canadians to get, is coconuts. Watch this. P.S. This guy talks slow, so I sped it up a bit.
The Prime Minister of Canada in the last election made a commitment to Canadians, and that was to look for trading opportunities beyond the United States, Madam Speaker. And we are aggressively doing so. Just last week, the Prime Minister had a wonderful discussion with President Marcos, and now we have set our targets of trying to achieve a trade agreement between the two great nations of Canada and the Philippines, Madam Speaker. Some of the best coconuts in the world come from the Philippines. Some of the best beef and pork come from the prairies in Canada. Potatoes from PEI, Madam Speaker. There's so much opportunity between trade between Canada and the Philippines, and this is a Prime Minister, this is a government that is looking.
And meanwhile, this is straight from the White House. Donald Trump has secured a deal to end the tariff war with China. I'm going to move out of the way in case you want to pause and read any of this, because I'm not going to go through all the details of it all. But the point is, China got into the tariffs well after Canada did. In fact, Mark Carney's had nearly 7 months to actually fix this. Instead, he's flying around the world begging for coconuts. This is what they call some sort of a historic agreement.
By July 21st, he promised he could negotiate a win with President Trump. Those were his promises. Now, some might say, look, it's unrealistic to expect to get that from President Trump. So why did he promise it?
Well,
it was not his only, it wasn't just that it was a promise. It was the promise.
Except you promised, when you were running to be Prime Minister, that tariffs would be paused across the board and that you would get a deal with Donald Trump with tariffs paused. I mean, that also doesn't seem very plausible given the way the president has behaved.
Well, I have to be Prime Minister for you to find out.
Well,
right? But what we do know is that Mr. Carney is Prime Minister, has been for 7 months, and these are the results that he's got. Since he promised to get rid of American tariffs, they've doubled and tripled in the case of softwood lumber. He says he's going to open up other markets, so he meets with the Chinese. And what do? They increase tariffs on canola, seafood, and pork. He meets with the Indians. What do? Increase tariffs on our peas by 30%. He meets with the Brits. What do? They hit us with blockades of our beef. It seems like everywhere Mark Carney goes, with these grand meetings and photo ops, we end up with more tariffs. His failures abroad are costing us at home.
Yeah, so coconuts, guys. Yeah, that's and if you were watching that piece of shit, he's got better composure than I do. Okay, plain and simple. But that CTV or CBC News reporter, I can't remember her name, but she kept on trying to cut him off because he was on a roll. They're pre-programmed, but he kept on doing it. I just give the man credit where credit is due. Just Pierre, if you really want to win this election, please put away the schoolboy professor speeches and go hardcore, like that spiel that you did the other day at the university where you told that joke and it was about, a sexual joke and everybody laughed. That's how you're going to relate to a lot of people. All right. That's how you're going to get the common person to vote for you. Who cares about the boomers and the dinosaurs at the end of the day? I mean, when you start seeing the truth, saying, listen, I can't remember her name. Stop lying. Stop propping up the liberal government. We know you're getting paid from them. But as soon as I'm elected, you can guarantee you'll be either a librarian, but you will never, ever be getting a dollar from the federal government or working through a government agency ever in your life. And that's what he needs to do. He needs to step it up instead, because he's getting literally do like Donald Trump. But then the news will say, oh, he said this is another Donald Trump Jr. Do it. It worked for Donald Trump. It'll work for you. If you don't think it does, please, for the love of God, I would love to be a conservative person to run in your party, but I can't, because you would literally put a cap on whatever I could say, and it would just, I'd be like one of those beta caucus man driving an EV car, which I can't. say what you need to say to Rosemary, her name is Rosemary, and spit it out. Don't let her interrupt you. Take over the interview. And speaking of this, check this out. The fact that a conservative MLA is allowed to cross the aisle and join the Liberals before finishing his term and betraying everyone in his riding who voted for him should be an ample evidence that the Canadian government is not working for the people. I do believe Canada is on its last legs. So everybody knows about this piece of shit, d'Entremont. Obviously, I'll show you right here. This piece of shit right here. For the people in Nova Scotia, I'd be trying to find out where this person lives, and it'd be Halloween night on his house every night. So just 40 days ago, Chris d'Entremont said his constituencies under Mark Carney's government and warned that another massive Liberal deficit would make things worse. Today, he turned his back on Canadians and betrayed them to advance his own personal ambitions. Shameful. Yeah, this piece of shit, for the people in the Annapolis Valley area, I'd be locating where this person lives, to be honest with you, and I'd be setting camps up. I honestly would, because he took all your guys' votes, slapped you guys in the face, and the main reason, and I'm going to tell you, the main reason why he did this, there's a few, is one, he wanted to be the Speaker of the House, and the Conservatives said no, and I don't blame them. So he kind of threw a tantrum. Number two is, I believe he was paid some kind of money, which we won't be able to trace because there'll be some count in Bermuda, thanks to Mark Carney. Number three, he said in his own mind that if there was a vote of non-confidence and there was another election, that he would lose his riding, because he feels that his riding would vote Liberal instead of Conservative, which is the dumbest thing I ever even heard of, even though he only won by 500. Well, you piece of shit human being, you only won by 500 because they had a scare of Donald Trump. So do you think with this new budget that was going to be tabled that your riding in Annapolis Valley would have voted still Liberal? You literally pushed the panic button and literally destroyed your career. And I hope something nasty comes out of you being betraying your people in Annapolis. I hope something happens to you in the near future, because I know your riding, they're not gonna sit pretty. I'll be honest with you. I know there's going to be some crazies out there that are going to be, if this budget ever went through, they're going to be pointing the finger at him. You can guarantee they're going to be roasting marshmallows on his house, his car, guaranteed, because there's a lot of crazy people when they're pushed in the corner and they have to find a scapegoat. And when they figure it out that this piece of shit jumped ship and went to the other side to make this bill, this budget pull through, there's going to be a lot of desperate people in the Annapolis area that are going to come looking for you. And just to let you guys know, this was already pre-planned, because look, not even in minutes, he was already switched over to a Liberal at the Parliament. Like, he didn't even write his resignation already, and they already had him before the meeting even started. They already had him as a Liberal, even before he did his resignation, just to let you know. All right. Yep. That's. I guarantee he drives an electric vehicle, guys. I guarantee he drives an electric vehicle. So something's going to happen, because we all know electric vehicles sometimes go puff, but some people are going to do something. You can mark my words. We'll hear the news in a couple weeks of something happening to d'Entremont from his voters, because they're not going to let that sit. And I know, because I've already had, I've seen some people. I had people message me saying, they're not going to let that slide. Watch and see, especially if that budget pulls through. I'm going to love it. And speaking of loving it, check this. Rachel Thomas says, I thought Justin Trudeau was reckless with Canadians' money when he racked up $42.2 billion in deficit. But Mark Carney just blew past that with a staggering $78.3 billion deficit. Wasn't he supposed to be the one who's good with money? Now, he's going around telling people that it takes money to make money, and we're going to get $1 trillion in business from finance, from other companies that are moving down. But that's impossible. You got to be completely brain dead, because if you're pushing out the carbon, the clean carbon taxes and all that shit, you would have to be a complete moron as a business to ever come into a country that the taxes are 42%. There's no such thing. And he's putting on the green climate bull crap and all that shit, being the only country that has it. Do you think for the slightest clue that any company is coming down to invest in Canada? No, not a effing thing. This is when Canada is going to be taken over by the USA, because keep in mind, as long as we're part of the USA, what happens in the USA, which Canada will be part of, we will be part of it. So we'll be getting money too, is what I'm trying to say. There won't be no more taxes. There's no more IRS in Internal Revenue Services in the United States. That's already been debunked. Well, Jeff, they hired 75,000 IRS. No, they actually, no, not for internal revenue when it comes to taxpayers. Yeah, they hired agents to get the tens of millions of people out of the country, and who knows, maybe doing the same thing for Canada too when it's time. Either way, it's going to be a good thing. And speaking about a bad thing in Canada, panics. I've been telling this to my girlfriend for the past 2 years for us to buy a house, but we're waiting. So panic is selling begins. So Toronto listings doubled overnight. Over 2 million mortgages are resetting. That's right, guys. Toronto real estate market is officially in panic mode. Active listings across the Greater Toronto area have doubled from 16,000 to nearly 30,000 in just 1 month. And this surge has everyone asking the same question: what happens next? More than 2 million Canadian mortgages are set to reset over the next 18 months, with payments increasing 30% to 50% across the board. Remember that big old crash in 2009? Well, this is going to look like child's play from the 2009 market crash, or 2008, 2009 market crash. Because remember, back in 2008, 2009, they were setting up this whole global disaster, guys. Just to let you know, in 2008, Obama, the monkey himself, was getting elected. And then that's when the whole pandemic was supposed to come out. That's when the market crashed. That's when they were going to roll out the SARS and the people with the death jabs. And then everything from the digital ID to the NWO was supposed to be rolled out for 10 years. As of 2021, we would have been in a one world government. We would have been all digital ID, social credits, all that stuff. But it was botched, completely botched. So for the people that don't believe in the white hats, yeah, it's the white hats that botched that plan back in 2009. Just to let you know, for the people that didn't know that, which I know people know that. Speaking because we're still in Canada, this is his numbers on immigration for the next 3 years. Now, you got to remember, Carney wants to have 100 million people in Canada by the year 2100, I guess you could say. 2000, century 2100. So he wants the population to go to 100 million. Now, if you do the math every year, and you take that by 75 years and do the math, you'll see it gets up to 100 million. And look what it's all immigrants, guys, because the white people can't survive of having kids. Look at that, 380,000 per year. And I know this is just temporary. I mean, I know it's more than that. I think it's up to 420,000, just to let you guys know. 380. Yeah, that's the goal they're setting, guys. Which we all know they brought in 10 million in the last 10 years. So let that be. I mean, well, that works out to be 1 million immigrants a year. Exactly. What makes you think they're going to stop? 10 million in the last 10 years that they brought in for immigrants. Trust me on this. And speaking of common sense, check this one. Angela Walker, who was convicted of killing a Canadian tourist visiting Maine by shoving sand down his throat after he allegedly made a racist comment toward her. She has now been elected to the City Council of Bangor, the state's third largest city. That's right, guys. She was convicted of killing a Canadian tourist visiting Maine. And now she's on the city council of Bangor. I wonder why. Take a good look at that person. Could that be because she's Aboriginal? Could it be because she's Aboriginal? Yep, I never knew. Shit. It doesn't make any sense. Convicted, not charged, convicted. And now she's on the committee. You can't make this shit up. I mean, I don't know what to tell you guys. What is this that I had? What is this that I had? What is this that I had? Yeah, even Speaker Mike Johnson, guys, in New York City have chosen. So this is from Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House in the United States. He said, Democrats in New York City have chosen a true extremist and Marxist, and the consequences will be felt across the entire nation. Zohan Madani's election cements the Democrats' party transformation to a radical big government socialist party. House Democrats endorse Madani's dangerous policies, including defunding the police, seizing private property, and massive tax increases. Now, every House Democrat incumbent and candidate will co-own Madani's disastrous record in the 2026 midterms. Meanwhile, Republicans are fighting alongside President Trump to lower costs, make streets safer, secure our border, and deliver peace through strength. With exactly 1 year to go until the 2026 elections, the contrast between our parties has never been more clear. Mayor-elect Madani's extreme agenda is the future of the Democrat Party, but will never allow it to be the future of America. That's why Donald Trump, when I told you, he said, let it begin, right? So it begins. And that's what I mean. So it begins. And I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And speaking of loving it, I want to share this last week. PM Carney also invests $189 million to boost Black entrepreneurship and business growth across Canada. All right? That's right. $189 million to boost Black entrepreneurship and business growth across Canada. You guys don't say it. I'll say it for you because I know you'll think of it, but I'll say it for you. Okay? Because a lot of people have jobs and have bosses. I don't have those. I speak my mind. What in the F do you think a Black entrepreneur in Canada is going to do? Anybody put up their hands if they know of any Black entrepreneurs? And if you see any Black entrepreneurs, what's the majority of a Black entrepreneur's business? Huh? Think about that one. All right? Because I'm guaranteeing you they're not open up call centers. They're definitely not open up restaurants. They're definitely not open up beauty salons. You understand where I'm going with this? All right? $189 million of our money, tax pay. I don't pay tax, so I don't care. I don't pay. I'll pay tax literally from the stores because they can't get that out. But I mean, federal tax. Filing my tax. That crock of shit. When I file the tax and I see I owe money to the government, I usually say, "Go F yourself" in big red pen marks, and I will shove cat shit in the envelope and send it to them. There's nothing they can do to come after you. But if you don't pay your property tax, that's a different story. There's ways for them to come after you when it comes to property tax. Literally, they can't do anything to you physically, but the house and your places that you own, that's where they can snatch you because they're going to use the police for that. And then if you try to fight the police, then you go to jail. That's why I told you, if it ever came down to a civil war, there's 10,000 of us plus in that underground civil war, regiment that are just waiting for the day. But it's me that's telling them that day's never going to happen. But if it ever did, I know what kind of guns I have, but it's never going to happen. But if it did, it's going to be taking back our liberties, and there's going to be a lot of corruption being drained. Let's just put it that way. So you pretty much got to vote, be on what side. And trust me, most Americans and most Canadians know what side to be on when it comes down to it. But it's never going to happen. So I don't even have to worry. But the other 10,000 ex-military, ex-police, ex-firefighters, ex-farmers, ex-electricians, all of them, they're all alpha males, just waiting But again, like I said, it's never going to happen. I keep on telling them during our meetings, that we do, that it's never going to happen, guys. Calm yourselves. Don't worry about it. But no, there's no but. Watch what happens when Donald Trump flushes out the, drains the swamp in the United States. Because now what's happening, now we're starting to drain the swamp in Canada with all these traders jumping ship, right? So just to let you guys know, that's what's happening. And for the people that have been asking me, Jeff, there's another 2 or 3 more conservatives that are jumping ship. No, and no, they're not. Actually, one is resigning in this spring for family reasons. I wonder what that's for. One in Quebec, a female said, no, that's not true. She's not walking across the floor. That was always been a rumor. And the third person said, I don't know where anyone has heard that, but that's not true. So the only douchebag that walked across the floor is that, the Beta electric car, Don Tremont from Annapolis Valley, Nova Scotia, which everyone's going to find out where he lives. It's just, I know there's people working on it as we speak, but it's going to be very exciting to see what happens to him. And it's literally, he killed his career. It's a death wish he just did on himself. Because they're fishermen. He represents fishermen. Those guys don't mess around. Fishermen do not mess around. If you guys know what fishermen do, they burn boats, they burn traps, they shoot. So he's got his hands full. That's all I got to say. And I talked to a few fishermen around that area, and I mean, there's going to be very exciting times for that person. I hate to say it, but anyway, that is going to be it for the end, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. I will see you guys Monday. Have a great weekend and enjoy, because snow's just around the corner. Be positive. I know there's a lot of negative, but like I said, Donald Trump needs to teach us a lesson. Not us personally, but the Canadian boomers and those people. He really needs to teach Canada a lesson for the people that voted Liberal, and that's the lesson we're in right now. We actually have to suffer for the Liberal boomers. And that's why I've been telling you guys, if you know people, I don't care if they're your friends and your families and your siblings or even your spouse, you shame and you blame these people. You don't stop. Because at the end of the day, it's pre-programmed. And if you tell them how fucked up and stupid they are and you keep repeating it, one day it's going to, like the news keeps on doing, pre-program. That's why it's called programming. They'll keep on saying it on a daily basis. One day it might click in. But until then, everyone's going to suffer. Everyone. Not so much me and my girlfriend. We make good money, but we work hard for it. But I feel bad for the people that don't make the good money. I really do, especially the single moms. But anyway, but we're all going to feel it in some way, including me somehow. All right, guys, I love you all. Take care. Hold that line. Stay positive. It's the best thing I can tell you guys. Please stay positive. Here's a little comedy, because Thursday night's my favorite night, because I know the weekend's around the corner. And like Don Cherry says, you people hold that line. I love you guys all. Here's a little high res.
So it's different, as you know, that with equity comes... Class, please welcome the new student, Robert.
Welcome, Robert. Well, thanks for the warm welcome, Teach. It's lit, no cap.
Take a seat.
White privilege is something
Welcome.
that each and every one of you bigots and colonists have.
Wow.
Oh my God, is that Red?
Kick the fathers out the house, send the mothers back to work. Let the school system parent your children right from the birth. Make them meal, feed them pills, confuse them about what's real. Tell them facts don't really matter, it's all about how you feel. Science and math erases, history let's erase it. Indoctrinate a whole generation, you can't escape it. It's bigger than American politics, you're an accomplice. White people, racists and bigots, and you're a colonist. If you want freedom, we'll encourage to do the opposite. It's toxic masculinity, if a man is too confident. Excuse me, what's a woman? Well, I am not a biologist. Common sense sentences, don't even try defending it, cause what you say's irrelevant. Put your hands up, everybody stand up. The whole world going mad, bruh. 2 plus 2 equal 5. You a racist if you don't think that adds up.
You better not be in here telling these children that men can't get pregnant.
Of course not, Mr. Smith.
And did you tell all the white children that they are racist?
And colonizers and bigots, yes.
Very good.
Go and put your hands up, everybody stand up. The whole world going mad, bruh. 2 plus 2 equal 5. You a homophobe if you don't think that adds up. Don't have children. If you do, then abort them. If your neighbors don't comply with the government, then report them. If you have independent thoughts, then just ignore them. Communism's the way, democracy is too boring. Bring your kids to a drag show. Give them a couple dollars to put right up in their asshole. Don't worry about the Epstein flight logs. The case is closed, so don't even go and ask, bro. Trust the WHO and CDC. None of our politicians work for the CCP. White kids are born racist. If you disagree, that makes you a damn racist. Study CRT. In today's lesson, men can get pregnant. Put your hands down, no more questions. Don't say pedophile, just say ALA. Adults that like adolescents. Go and put your hands up, everybody stand up. The whole world going mad, bruh. 2 plus 2 equal 5. You a racist if you don't think that adds up. Go and put your hands up, everybody stand up. The whole world going mad, bruh. 2 plus 2 equal 5. You a homophobe if you don't think that adds up.
We want to drive the whole world crazy. Brainwash kids from the time they're babies. We want you dependent and lazy. They never learn, honestly, it amazes me.
Go and put your hands up, everybody stand up. The whole world going mad, bruh. 2 plus 2 equal 5. You a racist if you don't think that adds up. Go and put your hands up, everybody stand up. The whole world going mad, bruh. 2 plus 2 equal 5. You a homophobe if you don't think that adds up.
We want to drive the whole world crazy. Brainwash kids from the time they're babies. We want you dependent and lazy. They never learn, honestly, it amazes me.
What's up, y'all? Thank you for watching my brand new music video, 2 plus 2 equals 5. If you can, check out the description box below. Click that link and grab yourself a t-shirt. Common sense isn't common when you're a communist. I appreciate y'all.